Hey guys, 40 the Broadway Sane here, back on YouTube, and in today's video we're going to be talking about predictions for Beatrix's abilities and weapons, because as we know, she was just announced as a surprise, as a global first for Dissidia Opera Omnia to celebrate the 1-year anniversary. And I have a special friend joining me today. His name is Joesephyr. If you guys don't know who he is an incredibly knowledgeable person when it comes to Final Fantasy trading card game. And believe it or not, he's also super knowledgeable on Dissidia Opera Omnia. And Beatrix is one of his favorite characters, so I'm super happy and honored to have him here in this essentially collaboration to discuss what could Beatrix's abilities potentially be. So Joesephyr, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience? Tell them what you're all about.
Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for having me, for a start. And yeah, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Joesephyr. And I'm primarily known for doing videos on Final Fantasy trading card games, so if you haven't heard of it, then it's definitely worth you going and checking that out as well. But I've actually been playing Opera Omnia since day one, and I've been playing the game extensively, and I've been streaming it for a little while, and I thought, well, I want to start doing some video content on it. And then they went and announced Queen Bee for Opera Omnia as part of the anniversary, so I thought, what better time to start doing this content than now? And 40 was gracious enough to come up to me and ask me about like maybe doing some collaborative stuff, and I was happy to help. So yeah, here I am.
Yeah, definitely happy to have you, bro. Yeah, like I said, guys, check him out. I'll be leaving links to his channel as well as his social media and his Discord in the video description as well. Comments. Be sure to check him out. Great guy, very, very knowledgeable. But anyways, we're going to talk about what we think Beatrix's abilities and weapons might be. So the way that we came about this is I was talking to Joesephyr and I was like, you know what? So Beatrix and Steiner, they trained together, right? In the Final Fantasy IX lore. Is that correct?
Yes, they did. Yeah, I'm for those again. We've already said it. I'm a huge Final Fantasy IX fan, easily my favorite in the series. But Beatrix and Steiner are both captains within the Knights of Pluto, or for the Knights of Alexandria. And then Beatrix and Steiner would train together, and they were always very, very competitive, but Steiner would always win. So what Beatrix wanted to do was to surpass Steiner and to make herself stronger than him. So I think that, or what we were both talking about, is that it would be great to have that translated into the game somehow, so that it ends up that she's just that little bit stronger than him. And, I mean, to be fair, it's not difficult to be stronger than Steiner in Opera Omnia. But, you know, hopefully, for a global exclusive character, we want to see some damn strongness from her.
No, I totally agree. Since she is a global first, I have a feeling that she should be very powerful. My question is, you know, when we see these characters come out in Dissidia Opera Omnia, they come out during certain points of their original game. Like, for example, if you remember, Edge didn't actually recognize Dark Knight Cecil. He didn't remember who he was. Well, then again, they never crossed paths, but it was interesting how some of the characters from their similar universes were all like, wait, I don't know you, but you know me, right? So will Beatrix be coming in during the point where she is essentially a villain, or when she just recently converts to a heroine when she fights against Kuja and Queen Ron? What do you think about that? Which part of the timeline?
I mean, if you look at the teaser that we got for Beatrix, they kind of asked that question themselves. Like, Garnet turns around and goes, oh, well, I wonder how Beatrix will react to us if she is in this world. So she's kind of questioning that, which goes to show that Garnet is obviously coming from late in Final Fantasy IX, once Beatrix has already switched sides. Sorry for spoilers for anyone who's not played Final Fantasy IX yet. But I mean, I'd like to think that she'd come back as a hero character, just because it makes sense. It would be really good within the story. It'd be really good within kind of just the camaraderie between the characters. Because one of my favourite things about Opera Omnia is kind of the ways in which the characters interact, and I want to see Beatrix do that.
I totally agree with you. I have a feeling it's probably going to be around the point where she switches sides, which is pretty cool. And then Crystal Affinity. I'm thinking yellow or white. I don't know how you feel about that, but the only reason why I say yellow is because Thunder Slash is one of her moves, and then white because she's a paladin, in a sense, like a really offensive paladin, because she does have a little bit of healing. I don't know, how do you feel about that?
Could be anything, to be honest. I mean, as far as I know, like, Crystal Affinity doesn't actually have kind of any correlations with what the characters actually do with a lot of the time in Opera Omnia. I'd like to see yellow, because I see a lot of, like, lightning in Beatrix for some reason. Like, I see a lot of, like, similarities in their character development. So I think that maybe yellow would probably be my pick. I wouldn't be mad at any of them, though. Just not blue, not straight after Kate Sith.
I know, right? right?
blue.
It'd be pretty crazy if it's blue, or
I only
or some
have so
other
many
color.
high shards.
I know, no, I totally agree with you. All of my blue high shark, Kate said. So please, Square, do not
Don't make
not
her blue.
Beatrix
Please don't make her blue.
a blue crystal character.
But yeah, so we've also been talking a lot about like what her stat distribution is going to look like, what kind of her stats are going to be high, what's going to be low. We were pretty in agreement that we want her attack stat high. Like she needs to beat face. That is what we want Beatrix to be doing. I mean, about speed. What do we reckon? Do we reckon speed's going to be? I reckon it could be low.
I think she's gonna. Well, it's not gonna be as low as. I don't think she's gonna be as slow as Steiner because she is, elegant with her sword skills. I'm sorry, Steiner fans, but I don't think she's gonna be super fast. Yeah, HP is probably gonna be low only because
she's not very tanky paladin.
Yeah, she's not a tank, definitely. No. High max brave, she yes. Because she's gonna be offensive. I mean. She beat you up in Final Fantasy IX constantly, so it only makes sense that she has to have high max brave. And as far as like defense and initial brave, I'm gonna say those are like medium, decent starting wise. So. Yeah,
I just want her to hit hard. That's all I want from her.
No, same here. I mean, she's a global first. You introduce a character like that, you hype her up. She has to at least contend with the current meta that we currently have in the global version of the game. So
I'd love a reason to take Squall out of my party.
Right? So we're going to take a look at her abilities now, or what we think her abilities will be.
Yeah.
So the first one is going to be Thunder Slash. So we said that this is probably going to be maybe a 3-hit Thunder Melee Brave plus HP attack. And then a gimmick that we're kind of fiddling with was, so if this ability is used and Beatrix breaks the target, she gets a Brave Overflow of up to 120% of her max Brave. And yeah, it sounds a little OP, but hey, why not? It's Beatrix. And then this would also probably grant her maybe like a small physical attack up for 5 turns, and then inflicting medium initial Brave down to target for 3 turns. There's actually surprisingly not very many characters who debuff initial Brave, so I think giving this to Beatrix would be kind of interesting. But yeah, but giving her that Overflow to reach if she breaks the target with ability would be really, really cool. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think that, like, the idea, because it's important to note that obviously with it being a global first, there's no reference for us to kind of base this off. We don't have a JP version of Beatrix. We don't know anything about her. We're purely speculating. And it's fun to speculate. Like, I think it's great that we get to do that. But I think that we kind of agreed on this idea that we kind of worked from what we think her EX ability would be, where it's like reducing bravery down to 1, like she does in the game, and then basing the rest of the kit around like breaking a character, like characters being broken, like using references like, some of the characters that come later in Opera Omnia, like Vayne, but not like straight up like Vayne, because Vayne's a little bit good later down the line. But yeah. Like something like Thunder Slash, it makes sense for it to be Thunder Element because it's in the name. But I think that as a reference, like in other games that she's been in, she's been a debuffer character, like Brave Exvius or Record Keeper. She's very good at breaking or like debuffing. So I thought that incorporating a bit of that into her version in Opera Omnia would make a lot of sense. And then having the Overflow, it's an exciting prospect for people who don't know don't really know what that is just yet, because it's only in EX abilities as far as I know so far. So to have that in a non-EX attack would be very exciting for a lot of players, and it means that she wouldn't be completely useless without her EX, if she even gets one.
Right. And we'll get to that when we start talking about the weapon. But yeah, no, I feel like giving her a way to reach Brave Overflow with a condition would be great, and an offensive condition. Which brings us to our next ability. You want to go ahead and cover that one?
Yeah, go for it. I mean, she only has 4 abilities in the games that we know of. And then the second one is going to be Shock, which is probably going to be a non-elemental ranged Brave and HP attack, or so we think. And then if the target is already broken, which contrasts with what we said about Thunder Slash being the thing that breaks them, then you get the Brave Overflow for 120%. It grants Beatrix a small attack up for 5 turns, and then a small defense down on the target for 5 turns. So you've kind of got that way of buffing and debuffing, but not in such a way that it's completely overpowered and renders support characters redundant. But it's mostly used just to get that Brave Overflow in a way that, so you kind of have like a sequence of attacks you use. You use Thunder Slash if you want to break something, and you use Shock if they're already done.
Right, yeah, so it kind of gives us a little bit of... It kind of gives her a rotation, but then it gives her options depending on the situation or whatever phase the boss might be in or the target might be. So,
yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. Which brings us to her EX ability. So, we were thinking her EX ability would likely be Stock Break or Clim Hazard, because in Final Fantasy IX, they essentially did the same thing. That was like her finishing move. It's like when she's had enough of the main cast, she's like, all right, I'm just going to end this. She uses either one of these, and what it does essentially in Final Fantasy IX is it brings their HP down to 1. So the way I could see this playing out, if this is her EX ability, is first off, she's not going to deal Brave damage. Instead, what could potentially happen is maybe she would raise her Brave 5 times, right? So she's Brave battering herself 5 times, each based on her attack stat, because she's building up for that finishing attack. And then she decreases all targets Brave to 1. She brings them down to 1, and then she deals 100% HP damage to all enemy targets. And then she has to have a unique buff. I mean, come on, you got to give her a unique buff, right? So we decided on Rose of May because why not? That's like her theme song.
Yeah,
so Rose of May.
Yeah,
Rose of May for 5 turns. So we said that Rose of May would increase Beatrix's attack and max Brave, so it makes her even hit harder, and it also provides her a Brave and HP regen to herself based on her attack stat. So then, if you remember in Final Fantasy IX, I believe it was the second time you fight her, but if you deal her enough damage, she actually uses Cura on herself. But see, here's the thing. She's not gonna... I don't think giving her like a straight up heal would make sense because she's really an offensive type of a character. But then at least having that heal there in the form of like a regen would kind of make sense to kind of give you the sense that, oh yeah, she's still kind of like a paladin. So she has that option to heal. So that's why I went with a Brave HP regen there. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think that, like, having a unique buff is something that's really good amongst a various array of characters. Like Squall has one, Sephiroth has one. You know, all the really strong offensive characters tend to have a unique buff, so to give Beatrix one would make a lot of sense. But I think her being that kind of not full-on offensive character, having kind of a tanky capability, or the paladin-esque capabilities, I think sort of a more defensive strategy would, like, kind of works, but it also... you don't want to end up with her EX being exactly the same as Sephiroth's, because Black Materia, as or for anyone who follows JP knows, also reduces all bravery from enemies down to 0. So it wouldn't make sense for her Stock Break or Clim Hazard to do exactly the same thing as him, but that part kind of needs to stay the same. So I reckon that her having like a buff that affects like you know, her good side as opposed to Sephiroth just being I'm going to smack your face in, then I think that makes a nice representation of the character. So I think that her being able to just like get Brave HP regen, or even something that's party-wide or something like that, so like a hybridization between a support and a damage character would be really interesting.
No, I agree with you too. Yeah. Which brings us to her weapons now. You want to start this one off? Because this one we were kind of like at a toss-up of what's her 15 CP going to be? What's her 35 CP going to be? Do we think her EX, if she even gets an EX, would it have the same name as another character's EX? Like, how's this all going to play? Because, I mean, in Final Fantasy IX, the only weapon she has, and I know there is a way to actually hack her into your party because she is only a temporary character, but
been there and done it.
She only has Save the Queen. Sorry, I did it because I actually wanted to see what she could do back in the day, so... And I only remember her having Save the Queen.
She does. And Save the Queen's the only weapon that she like has within the game. And if you actually watch the teaser trailer again, you can see that she actually is holding it. And you know, I noticed that with a lot of characters like who have EX weapons, their ultimate weapon, like Squall's Lionheart or Cloud's ultimate weapon, aren't actually in the game yet, which makes me think that perhaps they're going to release something later. So I thought that maybe Save the Queen would be released later, but it's definitely in the game now. Whether it ends up being her 15 CP weapon for the sake of it being accessible to everybody, and let's also not forget that Sephiroth's 15 CP is actually Masamune, and like it's his other weapons from Dissidia and stuff that are his 35 and his EX weapon, or whether it ends up being her EX weapon remains to be seen. But at least we know that Save the Queen is definitely one of them.
No, I agree, and I think it'd be a nice treat to have her 15 CP be Save the Queen, especially for Beatrix fans. So then you have it. You know, you're already because with character events now, you know you get at least one copy of the character's 15 CP. So I think it'd be nice for her base 5-star weapon at least to be Save the Queen. And I guess some of the effects that we were kind of speculating about was it probably increased duration and potency of that small physical attack up that we talked about for Thunder Slash. It definitely would increase the damage output of Thunder Slash. It has to, and then probably it'll also give her a medium increase to her max Brave for 4 turns. So like a max Brave buff, you know, for 4 turns to further increase her damage. And then how did we come up with her 35 CP? We called it. We think her 35 CP will be called Durandal. I mean, was there like a list of weapons that we looked through?
I based it. I mean, when I was looking at it, I was basing it on weapons that she gets in other games other than herself. So Beatrix doesn't have an awful lot of appearances in games outside of Final Fantasy IX. She is, however, in Record Keeper and she is in Brave Exvius. And I've tried looking at like the sprites that for Brave Exvius, the weapons list that she gets in Record Keeper, and you know, Durandal is a thing, Ragnarok is a thing, Lightbringer is a thing. There's a few different ones, but like Durandal, looking at the sprite, it was one that cropped up more than once. So I was like, oh, okay, well maybe this is that then. It could be something really kind of menial, kind of like Enhancer or like Greatsword. I think like one of Bartz's big weapons is called Greatsword. It could be something really menial, but, you know, it would be nice for it not to be.
Yeah, based on that, you know, since you see Durandal coming a lot, I think it'd be cool, and also it's nice, since I don't think we even have a weapon called Durandal yet in DFFOO, so I think it'd be nice to have it.
It's interesting, because there's actually a lot of Durandals in Final Fantasy, like a lot of different characters get it. But yeah, we haven't seen it yet. But we were looking at what the abilities could do. I think increasing, like if it affects... To be fair, you could interchange Shock and Thunder Slash in our predictions. Either one of them could be like the 15 or the 35 CP like ability. But increasing the uses by 1, I think, would be useful because that increases the longevity of any character. I actually thought, or we actually thought, that Sap would be quite a good thing for her to be able to add to an ability, because it's all like her kit that we've come up with revolves around breaking a character and keeping them broken. Then Sap kind of works into that, and it kind of covers the heal aspect in some form or another, because it gives her the regen. And then if you pile that on top of her EX that we came up with, then her regen kind of massively escalates before you've actually taken your turn, which makes her really, really good.
Exactly.
And then just increasing the debuff, because as I said earlier, like she's known for being a debuffer or a breaker in the other games that she's in, just makes sense. So like just widening the gap between her buffs and the enemy's debuffs while not completely writing off your support characters, I thought made a lot of sense.
Yeah. No. Again, which brings us to the EX weapon, because it complements that with how we came up with the 15 and 35 CP. So for her EX weapon, we were talking either it could be called Ragnarok or it could be called Excalibur. We were even exploring Excalibur 2 for this, which this EX weapon, if she does get it, would equip her with an EX ability, hopefully either being Stock Break or Clim Hazard. And then some limit breaks that we came up with is that Limit Break 1, it's going to increase the damage potency of Stock Break. 2, it's going to reduce the cast time of Stock Break. And then 3, that Rose of May unique buff that she has on herself, as long as she has it active on herself, other party members will benefit from it, kind of like an aura. So they don't get the buff frame, but they benefit from it as long as it's on Beatrix. And I know a character that has this currently in JP is Agrius.
Yeah, we didn't just completely baselessly come up with that because it sounds really overpowered, but it does actually exist in the game already.
Yeah. So I think it'd be cool if her Rose of May actually affects all party members, as long as you have her EX weapon, her hypothetical EX weapon, fully limit broken. But then we were also saying, like, what if they gave Steiner an EX weapon? Because, you know, Steiner and Beatrix, you know, they have a relation with each other. So what if they decided to release an EX weapon for Steiner early? I mean, even JP doesn't have that yet, but I think that could also potentially be a possibility, because you never know what's going to happen with this character event, because it's a first. This has never been done before. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the possibilities are kind of blown open a bit because we have no idea. Like I said earlier, we have no idea what to expect from this. And there are characters that get released from this point onwards, like Fang and Pain, who don't come with an EX. So maybe Beatrix ends up being one of those. We have to also remember that JP's going to get Beatrix eventually, so what could happen is we get her 15 and 35 now, and then say a Steiner EX, because there's nothing to say that we couldn't get that. Beatrix might not be the only global exclusive part of that. And then when JP gets her, they get her EX there and then as we catch up to JP, we then get her EX. That is a possibility. I hope that's not the case. I hope that I pour every gem I've got into getting everything for Beatrix, including an EX. But it might not happen.
Yeah. No, and if they end up only releasing her with a 15 or 35 CP, it would be nice in a sense that it gives players to save some of the resources for other EX weapons that are going to be coming out after this. But then if they do give her an EX weapon, which I agree with you, I think they should, because it's a first for global. Then yeah, by all means, pull for this character, because this is exciting for us global Opera Omnia players to get a little bit of special treatment.
Absolutely.
Since it's been a little rough to kind of catch up to JP for global. I know that was the vision that Square Enix had, but I mean, if you take a look at it, JP already has level 70. They're already doing reworks. We've barely just scratched the surface of Awakenings, and I know they've been trying to do things differently with global, like putting things out in a different order compared to the JP timeline. So I think it's very, very nice and refreshing they actually give us a first in the global version of the game. It's a really nice treat. So.
Well, hopefully it's the first of more than one thing. Because this has now opened the door for that possibility to happen, anything can happen at this point. Like, we have had surprises from global version before, like Tidus being released early with his 35, Tidus EX being released early. There's lots of things that could happen that we don't actually know about yet, so it's definitely worth noting that this might not be the only time that global gets something that JP doesn't have.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I can't wait to see what else they got planned, like the summer and then towards the end of the year. I know we're end of the year just began, but you never know. You never know what they're gonna do. But I'm excited.
I know where my gems are going in February.
Yeah. So, but I'm excited. I know Joesephyr is excited. And I like this character too. Any final thoughts? Anything else that you want to add?
No. I was gonna say I think we've covered most things when it comes to the character. I mean, I'm honestly, personally, hoping that the theme that comes with her isn't just Rose of May, but I want to hear the Sword of Doubt, her battle theme. Because I remember loading, like, when I got into FF9, when I got to the point where I fought Beatrix and that battle theme came up, I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna get something bad happen to me right now. So I want that battle theme to turn back up again. And honestly, the only thing I would like to add is if we do ever get weapon skins be a thing, I'm then okay with Save the Queen being the 15 CP, because I need to have that model on my character.
No, I totally agree with you. Yeah. So, but yeah, guys, that is going to be it. Oh, I do want to mention, be sure to let us know what you guys think of these predictions. And if you guys have your own predictions, put them in the comment section below, because we'd love to know what you guys think, what you feel like Beatrix might be getting, or, how creative you guys are with her kit and stuff like that. Because we'd like to know, because all of this, obviously, is prediction, speculation, but definitely had fun doing this. Again, thank you, Joesephyr, for joining me in this. Yeah, really glad to have you. Yeah, definitely. Guys, don't forget to check them out. Check out those links in the video description as well as the comment section. But yeah, this is going to conclude our video. Thank you guys for watching. You guys have a great, blessed rest of the day. Take care.
See you soon.